What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 45 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe. Still a little bit under the weather, but we're pulling through it. And welcome in, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate all you people waiting. There's a lot of people waiting this afternoon and, of course, this evening. So thank you guys so much. We have a big show for you guys as we are covering Keeneland's closing day Late Pick5 with two graded stakes, including the Fayette and the Bryan Station. It's going and a listed stake as well. It's going to be an absolutely great sequence to cover with a lot of different ways you can go. But of course, we're right in the middle of Breeders' Cup season, so we know where everyone's looking. But we're gamblers, guys. We got to look for something this weekend, and Keeneland's the place. So again, guys, thank you guys so much for joining in to the show. As you guys see scrolling on the bottom of the screen, please subscribe. Go down below the video player on the bottom right-hand side of the screen right here and hit subscribe. We're nearing 3,000 subscribers. We've had a lot of new subscribers come over for Breeders' Cup season, so thank you guys so much for doing that. But of course, we're nearing that elusive 3K mark, so please go down below and hit subscribe. While you're down there, please hit the like button. That will push out this video into the YouTube algorithm, which will only allow more people to come in to view these HHH Racing Podcast shows, which we would greatly appreciate. Also, as you see scrolling on the bottom side of the screen, which it just actually passed, our next show will be this Sunday. Obviously, this is not a Wednesday show of Bettin N Boozin. This is a special Thursday edition as Howard and I switched places as they covered the Breeders' Cup pre-entries. And also, yours truly was also on that show yesterday. So please go check that out if you guys are interested. We covered all 14 races, which we kind of missed the distaff. So 13 out of 14 races. Of course, there's going to be more coming up about that next week. But all the pre-entries, all the horses, we covered every single one. So please go back and watch that. You don't want to miss that show. Of course, we're all interested on the Breeders' Cup. But this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge contest show is going to be with three of the four previous BC champs with Howard, Matt Miller, Drew Coatney, Marshall Graham, Frank Mastari, just absolutely top of the top contest players. And you guys will not want to miss that. If you guys are at all interested in how the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge works or just contests in general, please go watch that show again Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern right here on the HHH Racing Podcast YouTube channel. Also, we'll be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, but that is where you'll find every single show that gets uploaded to the HHH Racing Podcast channel on audio platforms. So again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. And guys, the new Breeders' Cup Power Picks are still available for you guys to purchase. Only $20 for the entire weekend. That includes price plays. Every single Breeders' Cup race we are doing a full write-up for. All the Bettin N Boozin guys, me, Charlie, Patrick, Noah, we all have one race. The rest of the guys are covering the rest of them. But you guys are not going to want to miss out. Most are selling their packages for $50, $75, even $100 I've seen. And we're only charging $20. HHHRacingPodcast.com is where you find that. And at the very top, there's a banner that says, click here to view Breeders' Cup Power Picks. So please click on that and get our Power Picks for $20. You can buy them through PayPal. Thank you guys so much for all of you I know that have done it already. And of course, we have normal Power Picks, patreon.com/HHHRacingPodcast, including this week. You get 2 tracks every single Saturday, full grids, spot plays, price plays, anything that you need to be profitable on a normal weekend for horse racing, you will want to get in on the HHH Racing Podcast Power Picks. That's $15.99 a month. That's only $4 a weekend for 2 tracks fully covered. You guys, if you guys aren't subscribed yet, you guys are missing out. Patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast for that. But guys, we're not going to waste any more time. Patrick, unfortunately, has a game he is refereeing. Like Paul is, bounce back and forth, but unfortunately, Patrick will not be here tonight. And Noah is actually having a little bit of tech issues, so hopefully we can get him on. But what better guy to have when there's only one guy left from Ohio State University, band of brothers for the cheaters in the college football scene right now. Charlie Freeman, man, what's going on?
Not much, definitely shocked. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say shocked or surprised. I expect nothing less. But, of course, we now know how Michigan successfully won those games. There's just more and more information coming out about cheating. The only thing that hurts me about this whole thing is that there's no college football playoff or championships wins to take away because they can't win any. But maybe they'll get a postseason ban that'll be useless because they don't win in the postseason anyway. But yeah, not surprised at all. But I'm doing well
because they ain't gonna be banning this year, dude. I shouldn't go on the record saying that. It's already been 2 schools. I would not be surprised if it's gonna be more. That's what I'll say. I would not be surprised. But let's get
it just won't be us. It won't be us. That's all that matters.
Yeah, right. Well, we're already caught, so it's over for us. But anyway, let's go to get some comments here. Katie, of course, is always here. What's up, Katie? Thanks so much for joining the show. Robbie Courtney is here. Thanks so much, man, for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. I saw you post that under my thing. Nathan Eovaldi, over 5.5 strikeouts. Dude, game 1 of the World Series. This is not what I expected the World Series to be. I don't think it's what anyone expected the World Series to be. But when 2 teams get together like this that no one expected, it's going to be fun. So thanks, main folks, for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciate it. And Smoggington, I don't think I've seen your name before, my friend. Thanks so much for doing the show. Greatly appreciate you chatting. Like I said, for the first time, I don't remember seeing your name. So thanks, man, so much for joining the show. And look who pops in. And I know those headphones anymore when I see them. What's up, Noah? Pull that away from your mouth a little bit, my friend. You freaking
shit.
You know what's gonna be it. But what's going on, man?
It's all good.
What's up, guys?
Dude, sounding good, sounding fresh. Those Astros, dude, I recognize. I feel like I recognize those anywhere.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a audio problem here, but I was getting kind of worried that the audience wasn't getting any winners. So, luckily I figured it out pretty quickly, and we're good to go.
And that's a good reason. Winners, they might have to be vacated. So I'm very happy that we have you and me now, so we can actually get some legitimate.
You're cheating too. Don't come at me. You're cheating too.
Hey, there's nothing yet. We're innocent until proven guilty. You guys are guilty until proven guilty. And
there we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's the Ohio State bias right there. But guys, like I said, we're not going to waste too much time. We're going to get right into it here, covering the Late Pick 5 at Keeneland on Saturday for their closing day with 3 stakes races, 2 of them graded, shaping up to be a very nice card for them on Saturday for their last card of the year. So it's the first race is the Bowman Mill Stakes. Again, this one's listed for $200,000, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. And it draws a field of 9. So not a full field of 12, as we normally say every race for Keeneland, but this field of 9 is very good. It's for 2-year-olds. And as I bring up the Equibase right now, guys, I'm going to share the screen here. If you guys are new, you guys are just joining in, please comment in the live chat if you guys have any opinions in these races, as they've been out for a few days now at this point. They've been out for 3 or 4 days. So please comment in the live chat if you guys have any opinions on these races. We will show every single comment that goes in the chat. But full field of 9, the morning line favorite is on the rail. The number 1, Normandy Hero for Alex Achard and Rudolph Brissett at 5-2. Valentine Candy just next door for Ricardo Santana and Asmussen at 3-1. And then the third choice is Royal Slipper for Joel Rosario and Wesley Ward at 4-1. And I'm switching over the picks right now. And of course, Noah had a little bit of tech issues, so I'm going to be adding them in as we go along here. And just to make sure I have that right, we do. Putting up the picks now, guys. And you'll see 2 of us are going with Royal Slipper, the Wesley Ward, and Noah is going with the number 2, Valentine Candy. So you know who we're going to first. Noah, you're up first to tell us why we're wrong, and again, why you're picking winners with the number 2, Valentine Candy.
Yeah, well, to start us off, this race has a lot of speed. There's speed up and down this whole page. I went with who I think will probably be the fastest, which is Valentine Candy. One on the lead at Saratoga in the debut, a little less than 3-1, which obviously isn't the easiest thing to do. And then Asmussen had enough courage to put him in the hopeful, where things didn't really go as well as he had hoped, bumped at the start, and then comes back on opening weekend going 6, and was bet a decent amount and was the fastest going out of the gate. Actually dueled with a long shot that had absolutely no business being in the race, but the horse that he dueled with, ended up running over in the back of the pack, while the one kind of just sat right off the pace, got the perfect trip. So I just think he kind of did all the dirty work last time. I don't know. There's a lot of horses that are going to go to the lead. Maybe it's just one of those where whoever gets the lead is just going to take them wire to wire.
Well, and as you see, I like this horse as well. I have him in second. Oh, and I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. Valentine Candy, I have him in second. And I agree with you completely. No, I thought being on the inside, doing all the dirty work, and just losing by a length to Normandy Hero, who was actually towards the lead in that race. We're not going to show the replay, but was towards the lead and then backed off into the pocket and just had a perfect rail trip, which is actually why I don't have the horse anywhere. And I don't like the rail again for the horse like this. But your point is taken. This is a lot of speed. And Charlie, I'm interested to hear, because you actually don't have Valentine Candy anywhere. I'm interested to see, was it just the pace scenario why you didn't like this horse, or what kind of went through your mind here?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I have this horse. We only give 3. I would have had the horse 4th. I really think it's just going to come down to those first 4 horses. Honestly, when I watched the replay, I kind of just saw it differently from you guys. I saw the 2 battling for the lead with a longer odd horse. I saw a horse that didn't have to work crazy hard for the lead and sure did the work, but it also looked like the one didn't necessarily want to sit a stalking trip, but kind of just got trapped every which way and didn't have anywhere to go early on, so got forced into the rail and then got lucky that Valentine Candy kind of chose to, go not wide, but, like wide and up enough on the turn to leave that rail, right, to leave that space. And then the one finally had daylight and went. For me, I think it was 2 horses that battled well and put up a good figure, but I thought I kind of had knocks on both of them, which is why I have them both so low on my thing. Was I thought the 2 got to the lead and then just didn't have enough late, but still stuck in there. And I thought with the 1, even though got the unfortunate trip early on, and I kind of also didn't just like the price at all at 5-2 either. And as you mentioned, I think if the rail doesn't open up, the 1 could run into some trouble and is not fast enough to stay up with the 2, 3, or 4. So my main concern with the 1 and why I have the horse 3rd is just because I was kind of expecting, once the rail did reopen, I was like, oh, so this horse is going to blow by. And then the horse went by, but then kind of just didn't have that big burst or kick as the other 2 horses that I have in front did. And that's why those are my 2 favorites in the field. But I just thought Normandy Hero, I was really waiting on that replay for just that last kick to really get away from the 2. So for me, neither of them were all that impressive. The figures obviously are compared to most of these horses, but it just wasn't eye-popping, and I don't like the short price. I rather, as you'll see kind of throughout most of this card, went against the favorites. And then, moving into my actual picks. So Royal Slipper, I get it. It's the Wesley Ward horse. I'll take all the hate for just going with my guy again. For me, it was pretty simple. I like horses. I know, again, something I've learned through just handicapping more and more is how often horses in their second start take that next big step forward. And I liked what I saw from Royal Slipper. Had to start on the rail on debut, which normally is a disaster, and didn't struggle with it at all. Had a really nice quick jump. Did the 3. I think the 3 and the 4 might be the 2, actually might end up being the 2 fastest, or at least have the best quick step. And honestly, for me, I just like the late kick I saw. Never really was asked by Johnny V, just kind of got to the lead and then just naturally was able to kick away. I think that Royal Slipper has another step forward, and I think has enough, pace and ability to show that late kick again and handle the distance. And then for the 4, I think the 4 is the biggest wild card in this spot by far. Obviously, running at Prairie Meadows, you don't know what's going to happen. But for me, I saw a horse that shot out an absolute cannon, got to the lead, didn't necessarily have to work hard for it, but also wasn't just given the lead, was just too quick for anyone else to do anything about it, and then just absolutely flew away without being asked at all. And I think getting Luis Saez is the dream jockey for Glengarry. I think if this horse has any chance to win this race, needs the most aggressive jockey possible, and a jockey that's just going to send it. I think Luis will do just that. I actually think the 4 is the fastest horse in this field, even though the time form says it's not the fastest, but right up there. I think the only question is, will the 4 be able to hang on the whole way? But I love the value there. And for me, I think I rather look for the value on the 3 and the 4 than the 1 and the 2, who didn't really show much for me.
Yeah, and I always have a problem. It's one of my downfalls, to be honest. And I watch these replays, but like in the last race for Glengarry in the Iowa Cradle, like I get like 12 3/4, 86 buyer, but you just look at it's Iowa breds, and against a field of 6 or 7, none of them have come back to race since. And 57, 51, 48, 42, 3-0. So I don't know. This is one where I have to watch. If Glengarry takes a lot of money, or if I just have to see one, and if Doug Anderson has this horse ready, I agree with you. I think Saez, one of the more aggressive riders in this jockey colony, is the perfect rider for Glengarry. I just don't know if he's going to class up in a field like this at Keeneland, in a $200,000 stakes race. But if he runs that 86 again, it's definitely good enough to beat in a field like this. But where he's going to face a lot more pace pressure than he has in the last two, there's going to be some question marks, and I'm going to look other ways. But again, if he's taking money, you're definitely going to have to take notice with Glengarry. I agree with you on Royal Slipper, Charlie. Ward, of course, always has his horses ready for Keeneland. This horse was lightning quick out of the gate last time out, and I'll just show the first few jumps out of the gate here. And you can see, I believe the number one is who you're looking at from the rail. And just, I mean, in the first 8-9 strides is already clear of the field. And granted, he might take some more pace pressure in this race, but if he's that quick out of the gate again, he might just be able to clear this field pretty quick and back down. And Uncle Mo, Arch Mare, there's no concerns with the 6 furlongs again. It's just a matter of, will he take more pace pressure than he did last time? And it does look in the field this time, but it just comes down to the fact of, if he's that quick out of the gate, he might just have enough speed to clear. And there's just not a whole lot of horses that can rate Noah. And you have the number 1 and 2nd. The only reason I debated throwing the horse in there was because he showed he could rate a little bit last time. And the number 5 Patriot Spirit rated a little bit in his main race at Colonial. But it's just really hard to find when every single horse wants to vie for the lead. You got to kind of pick one and run with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I kind of went with the 5, just because I thought in the Colonial race, the horse was very impressive and showed a little bit of an ability to sit off. You know, Colonial maiden special weight on the dirt is really normally not the greatest field in the world. But then in the Iroquois, just blasted out of the gate, ran a first quarter that was comparable to a lot of these horses when they were going, 6 and 7 furlongs. But maybe on the cutback, you get Pratt. Pratt's, smart enough not to get in a duel. And he's going to be, a little more outside than what looks to be like the contending speed with the 2, 3, and 4. And maybe he could just, sit a length and a half, 2 lengths off. Maybe these horses tire out and he gets in the money somehow.
This was the one that I was actually debating putting in there between the number 5 and the number 7 Cows for that kind of stocky trip. That watching that Colonial race, we can't watch it obviously with Churchill and DRF, but Patriot Spirit, that maiden race was actually extremely impressive. They went really quick up front and he just pulled away. Last time in the Iroquois, just absolutely ran out there to blistering fractions to 22-1 and 44-3. And getting beat by horses by like West Saratoga and Risk It is nothing to sneeze at. And the cutback, as you pointed out, Noah, this would be a boss angle for sure coming on the cutback here. Patriot Spirit's definitely interesting, and I think you'll get a nice price at 8-1 at least. And Cows is the horse that I have in third. Full turf these last 2 times. Actually lost to Shards last time out. But the siblings get the money is a half to Cows, and you'll see she's only been running on the dirt out west, and she's been running lights out, mid-70s buyers on the dirt and has won. So the breeding is there for Cows. It's just a matter of, can he rate? And I mean, the works are definitely there as well, coming back after that last race and having one work before this race on a little bit of short rest, but looks to sit the right trip for a race like this. But I'm going 3-2-7. Charlie's going 3-4-1, and Noah's going 2-1-5. Going to switch to the next race here first, but look at who's joining the chat when he should be talking to parents at parent-teacher conferences, but joining from parent-teacher, having a quick break in between appointments. Have a great show, guys. Smash that like button, viewers. I completely agree. Howard, thanks so much, man, for joining the show. I want to see that like count get a little bit higher before the end of the show. So again, Howard, thanks so much for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciated. Moving on to race number 7, guys. It is an allowance optional, 150,000 going 7 furlongs on the dirt. And this draws a field of 10. And this field is one to look at for sure. Cattle River, Obesos, 2 older horses that used to be on the Derby Trail. Traeger is your morning line favorite at 3-1, followed by the number 6, Dr. Oscar, a Minnesota bred, at 9-2, and then sharing The third choice is number 4, Chasing Time for Asmussen, and the number 1, the Indiana bred Fortin Hill. Guys, going to switch over the banners right now for race number 7. You'll see 2 of us are agreeing with, I agree finally, with West Coast bias himself on the number 2, Traeger. I am going with the favorite, but Charlie is actually going with the number 1, Fortin Hill. Noah, you actually have this horse in second. I don't have this horse anywhere. So I'm actually interested to hear why you guys like so much, but Charlie, I'll let you go first on the number 1, Fortin Hill.
Yeah, so I will say I'm a little disappointed. I was kind of hoping with my bias for closers and Tyler G that when I had Bezos in my top 3, then no one else was going to have this horse, but I know we'll touch on that later. Yeah, for me, again, as I kind of touched on earlier, I'm not in these earlier races on our card super confident in the favorite, so I'm not going to take that crazy of a short. I guess it's not crazy, but you know what I mean? I don't want to take that short of a price in a field that's this big and this wide open. And also, I'm not going to lie, I've always been a little biased against the California horses. I just feel like they all love to go fast and love it in California. And then once they can't be running on their Cali tracks, it doesn't always translate well. It's been a strategy that's worked out for me. I will say, I think the 2, certainly on paper with the figures and picking up Flavian Pratt, looks the toughest. But again, for me, just I'm not sold. Need to see it proven somewhere not in Cali, and I'm not going to take 3 to 1. But yeah, with Fortin Hill, it's tough. If you look a few back, the horse loved running at Keeneland, ran at 6.5. In April and ran a 97, the best buyer this horse had in a while. Picks up Johnny V, which for me is always a plus. I understand, then went to the grade 1 in Churchill, and clearly, after that career best effort, wasn't ready for it. So, that happens. I respect the fact that the trainer was willing to take a chance and had that kind of faith, and then came back last time out and narrowly lost by half a length. I just think from a pace perspective, this could set up nice for Fortin Hill. I think the 1 could tuck in nicely on the rail. Has early speed for sure to be in and around there, but doesn't really look like a horse that wants to be on the actual lead, but sit, maybe a couple lengths off. And again, I just think the pace will set up nicely. I think can get a nice trip. And if the rail can just open up, I think Fortin Hill can go right by. Love the value. And again, I just think you need a veteran jockey that can execute that trip. And Johnny V, if you're looking for a veteran, you don't find much more veteran in a jockey than him. So again, I just wanted to go against the favorite. And I think if this 1 could sit that stalking trip just behind the early leaders and the rail opens up, could go right by.
Fortin Hill is one of those horses, Noah, that I've just never been that big of a fan of. I mean, he hasn't won. Actually, he won in Indiana in 22, but hasn't won before that since 2020. I mean, he just always kind of seemed like that horse that took all the money, a money burner, as we would say, and just never really got the job done. I mean, won that optional claiming race, of course, at Keeneland last time out, and then put in the Churchill Downs and ran behind Cody's Wish, which is never a shortcoming by any means, but you have this horse second. I've just never been a fan of this horse, but maybe he's finally turning a corner at these shorter distances.
Well, it just seems like every now and then he'll kind of run a really big one that just kind of puts himself, kind of separates himself from the field. He's run a 101. He's run a 98, 97, 96. And I agree with everything Charlie said. Johnny V hopping on just about as much experience as you can get in a horse. And it looks like the horse really likes Keeneland.
Yep.
So, 6 to 1, whether or not you're going to get the 80 version or the 95 version of Fortin Hill, that's up to you to decide. But I went with Traeger for Pratt and Glatt, the old Cali connection.
Yep.
Glatt did the same thing with Dr. Venkman, who came over and ran in a stakes race, I believe. I don't remember what the name of the stakes race was. But the one thing that he did do different is he got to work over the track, which is I really like that a lot.
Yep.
And the horse just, seems to be getting better, constantly progressing. Ran a 94 last time, beat a horse named Hopkins, who came back and won, and is a really nice horse down in California. And the horse has had some time off. So I just think the horse is ready to fire off a big effort.
The Perryville Stakes is the stakes race you're looking at. Ran behind Ray's Kane, and that was the race with Verifying.
Yeah.
Yep. Who was actually, no, Dr. Venkman ended up being the favorite from the West Coast, and he ran well. You took everything I wanted to say, because he has a work over the track for Glatt. Obviously, this is a little bit of a class up in that regard, but coming back to 7 furlongs, where this horse, I think, hits him right between the eyes. just looks to sit a really nice trip right in behind the speed. Can take the lead if necessary, but I think there is other speed to be able to take that from him. Pratt is on this horse, I think. You can always say about out in Cali, the numbers are higher, but that 94 looks very formidable. And if he can continue to improve, I think Traeger is the horse that has the most upside in a race like this, where there's a lot of older horses that have kind of run their course and you know who they are. Traeger, I think, is the one horse in this race that could take a step forward. And this is realistically his first race at 4. I knew he ran in January of 23, but that was the first race that was the last race of his 3-year-old campaign. Now coming 4, they can take a step forward. And I think this could be a big spot for Traeger. And Mark Glad is very good off of over 180-day layoff. I'll go over it right now. First after, we'll go 180 to, let's say, 270. So let's see. And if I apply the filter, you see he's 19%, 11 for 59. So right about where he normally is. But obviously we saw with Dr. Vinkman, he knows he ships good horses over here, and that work over the track instills confidence in me that he'll take to the East Coast track. So I'm with you on Traeger, and we all have the number 9. I was actually, this was kind of my sneaky underneath play, but you guys are right with me here. Charlie, I'll go back to you. You have the horse in 3rd, the number 9, Obesos, for Greg Foley, and Gaff Leone picks up the mount again. Just seems like a horse that could be running late, and he's been farther behind before, but that last race at Ellis and the 100 optional Churchill is what's instilling confidence in this horse again for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand the first effort off the not big layoff, just like a few months off wasn't unbelievable, but it wasn't a crazy step back for me to panic. Obviously, for me, I think a big thing was just seeing Tyler get back on the saddle with how hot he's been lately. That obviously it signifies he still believes in Obesos. And honestly, I mean, if you just kind of look around the field, like the 10's going to want to go, the 8 has to go, 7 is going to want to be forwardly paced, the 6 has to go, the 2's going to want to go. The 1's not going to go, but it'll be towards the front. I just feel like there's a lot of horses that are going to be going pretty fast in this field. And I just feel like the 9 could pick up the pieces. I don't think Obesos, I think in Obesos' prime, sure, could win the race outright. But I certainly think at this stage still has enough strong kick where if this pace is as hot as I believe it could be, at the very least can be running in the money and at a price. And I especially, kind of feel like if you feel strong on one of the, I guess the only shorter price really is the 2, but, if you feel strong about the 2 and you're looking for some value to throw underneath, I certainly think Obesos is a high candidate to consider. I
agree with you. And I mean, no, I don't know how you feel about this as well, but this would be the running line horse of the day is what we're going to start calling it now. Because just going back to last year, Olympiad, Prevalence, Surveillance, Elite Power. This was obviously the Breeders' Cup Sprint where he actually ran really well in its 6 furlongs. Hermes Song, Zozos, who's going to be a 3 Technique, who's also drawn in to the Breeders' Cup. There's just coming back to 7 furlongs here from a mile, I think is really good for Obesos. And I think he's set up for a really big run in this race.
Yeah, Charlie touched on a lot of what I had on Obesos. Maybe just a slight concern would be you don't really know if he's as good sprinting as he was, going 2 turns. But Foley ran him in the sprint, so he had a lot of confidence, and he was only 3.5 lengths behind Elite Power. So, I mean, he ran his Obesos off. But yeah, like Charlie said, there's quite a bit of speed in the race, and second off, and with the cutback, the horse should be plenty fit.
That means kisses, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but
I was just trying to.
I see the vision. Let him cook. I see the vision.
Yeah, the vision's there. I'll Dr. Strange it next time. But Obesos, I think, definitely has a shot underneath, and we all do, as we all have him in the mix. Noah, you have Fortin Hill. I don't have him anywhere. I have Dr. Oscar, and this is one of those horses, again, coming off short rest, but this looks to me easily the fastest horse in this race. There's not a whole lot of horses that are actually going to gun for the lead, I think. I mean, Traeger's fast, but I think he likes to have a target in front of him. Payne's going to be towards the back, chasing times towards the back. Surly Furious is a little bit fast, but definitely prefers a target. Dr. Oscar, as I mentioned, Pro-Oxidant would be the one to go, but I still think he also prefers a target in front of him. Top Gunner is going to be the one that's going to go out with him. But other than that, I mean, there's not too many dead speeds in this race, and I think Dr. Oscar could be very beneficial of something like that. And he has won. He's won a lot in Canterbury, obviously being a Minnesota bred, both in state bred company and open company. I just think this is complete pace play for me and could be one to stick around towards the end if it comes down to it. But I still think the number 2 Traeger and the number 9 Obesos will be ones to best him, but could be one, like I said, to stick around for sure after that last race at Keeneland and the Phoenix against horses like Horse the Gold and Nakatomi and Bango that we see all the time in these stakes races in the Kentucky circuit. So I'm definitely going to look to Dr. Oscar to revert a little bit closer to the competition that he's suited for and hopefully can stay in the money. I'm going 296. Charlie's going 129. Noah's going 219. Guys, going to switch over to race number 8, and this is the start of the two graded stakes races here on the card. Grade 3 Bryan Station Stakes going a mile on the turf for $300,000. And guys, this is where we're going to start to talk about this because it's prevalent in both this race and the next race. There's a lot of horses that are in this race, or there's a few horses in this race and the next race that are also entered in the Breeders' Cup. And More Than Looks, who's the morning line favorite for this next race, is entered into the Breeders' Cup mile and is just outside. I believe he's first one off the sheet, so could easily get in to the Breeders' Cup. Obviously, that decision will be made before Saturday, and if you see More Than Looks scratch, you'll know why. But I don't know about you guys. I'm going to switch over the picks right now, and we all agree More Than Looks, guys. And I know Howard thinks very highly of More Than Looks, just very, very formidable in a race like this, especially a race that looks like it has a lot of pace. Noah, I'll go to you first. What'd you like most about More Than Looks?
Yeah, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this race. More Than Looks was just so impressive last time, kicking away and popping that 101 at Churchill. And then, like you said, could very well get into that Breeders' Cup race. But there isn't really much to say. I mean, finished third to Carl Spackler. Honestly, I just thought it was either the 9 or the 1 in this race and, kind of move on.
I mean, as you can see, we all think that way. More Than Looks, Charlie, I will let you touch on anything you want, but then I'll let you talk about the 1. More Than Looks is just supremely, I think, like I said, trip-wise, buyer-wise, just everything kind of points to this horse running a big one here. If he does go in this race.
He's unbelievable. I mean, for me, I'll go out and say More Than Looks is one of the best horses in the world. I could not believe what I saw what I saw last time out. When I saw that race last time, I was stunned. I mean, look, this horse has been running against tough horses. Ran against Turf King way back. Shout out to that horse being on our show. Carl Spackler, who I know you love, Kyle, and ran a solid effort, but was just too far back. Beat Talk of the Nation, who's a very talented horse as well, which again we'll touch on. We all have underneath. When I saw that race last time out, I personally had More Than Looks, and I'll be honest, I wasn't feeling too hot. It was way back, which I mean I get, but a little too far back from my I normally like More Than Looks to be closer to like 6-7 lengths off the lead. 11 was a bit like, okay, we're gonna have to see if this horse is free. It comes around the turn, and you're like, all right, I think this horse could get there, might get there, and then get out of nowhere, just starts flying with one of the best late kicks I've personally ever watched live, and was just like, oh, I was just having fun. I just didn't want to win by 20 and embarrass everybody else. I just wanted to keep you on your edge and make sure you actually chose to watch the whole race. The buyer figure, sometimes we talk about it when you see like that big jump up. How real is it? I think that 101 is every bit of that 101. That was an unbelievable effort. I think More Than Looks. Look, Talk of the Nation's a great horse, and we'll touch on this horse. But if More Than Looks stays in this field, I think it's going to be a comfortable romp. In this horse, nothing against this other field. There's some talented horses, but More Than Looks is unbelievable and deserves to be in a better race.
It's just a very, very good improving 3-year-old, and I know Howard actually really likes this horse. He gave it out a little tidbit yesterday on the pre-entry show. He's extremely interested if More Than Looks goes and gets into the Breeders' Cup, but obviously that will be soon to be seen. But Talk of the Nation, I mean, this is a horse I've touted for a long time. Also, I wanted to point out before he left More Than Looks, but I forgot, the Bettin N Boozin Legend Hall of Fame Stakes, as we covered that race 2 or 3 times on the damn show because they kept moving it due to the rain at Saratoga. But anyway, Talk of the Nation, Noah is just extremely talented, as you pointed out. It's kind of 9-1 and move on for me as well. I agree with you. just all the tactical speed in the world and can definitely work out whatever trip he wants in this race.
Yeah, just another, really good horse, improving, just trip wise. Talk of the Nation, might be able to get the jump on More Than Looks. And you get Jose Ortiz, who really hasn't gone to Keeneland only a couple days, only, 8 mounts. But he's been on live horses. He's won 2 of those and 5 out of 8 of the money. But overall, I just, think More Than Looks is, the horse. I've got Mo Stash in third, just because I think I really like to switch back to Luis Saez. The horse has had, success on the lead with Saez. Saez is one of the more aggressive guys in the country. A horse that can get back to those 90 and 91s that the horse has run before. And the horse looks to like Keeneland too. But on the win end, it's either 9 or 1.
Yeah, it's just Mustache for me and a lot of these other ones. Smoky Mandate is an improving 3-year-old, but again, with a race that looks to be very high on the speed favoring front, or there's a lot of speed in this race is what I'm trying to say. I don't want anyone like Smoky Mandate. Dude in Colorado is another one for Pletcher, picks up Pratt, but 87 is just a cut below in this type of field. Gigante is another one who ran a very nice in the fake Secretariat at Colonial Downs this past summer. Runaway Storm is another one that likes to go to the lead. Worthington's not slow by any means. Santorini's not slow, although I think a cut below this field. And Appraise is not slow either by any means on the front end. So just looks to be just a lot of early speed, which only sets up more for More Than Looks. I have Gigante in second, as that's just another one I think running this Secretariat again can pick up the pieces. Maybe get a little bit of a jump on More Than Looks, but then just get passed down the stretch. But Gigante could run a nice second or third. I wouldn't be surprised at all with Joel aboard. And Charlie, you have Smoky Mandate. Just real quick, anything you want to touch on before we move on?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to Talk of the Nation, obviously I agree. I don't think it's a 2-horse race, but I think if you set tiers, I think Talk of the Nation is on his own in the second tier. I think certainly if More Than Looks were to scratch out of this race, Talk of the Nation will be the heavy favorite, rightfully so. I just think Talk of the Nation's an ultra talented horse that unfortunately might run into More Than Looks again. Then I think Smoky Mandate is the one horse you guys are really overlooking. I think Smoky Mandate is very dangerous in this spot. Love Michael Maker, like that he gets James Graham. Working forwardly. And I just think, again, we're talking about a 3-year-old that's massively improving. You see those 280s and then jumps up to 2 low 90s. And, I know we normally talk about how it has to be 2 exact back-to-back career best, but I'd say 92 and 94 is close enough to still count it as doing a repeat performance. So I think Smoky Mandate is primed for another massive step forward. I like the setup in this field and distance. I know the horse likes to be towards the front, but I think Smoky Mandate could set a stalking trip and could be the first of the 3, in my eye, real contenders to get the jump. Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough late kick to hold off More Than Looks, but I certainly think if you're looking to not go chalk and find some value, I really like Smoky Mandate in this spot. And I think Smoky Mandate could certainly surprise if you're just assuming it has to be those 2. I think that's the one horse that could cause some damage in this field.
It's the other one that has shown that can run at a target before, although he does run his best race either pressing or right on the lead. So Smoky Mandate will be one to keep an eye on for sure. And hopefully, if Smoky Mandate can get the win, James Graham will get out of that donut zone for the Keeneland meet. But I'm going 9-1-2. Charlie's going 9-1-4. Noah's going 9-1-5. I agree with you guys. There's just not too much else I think we need to talk about in that race. Race number 9 is the feature.
This race, oh my God.
On the closing day card. And yeah, this one is a doozy.
There's a lot.
And Charlie, I wanted to actually say this to you live because now I got to make you scramble. There's a full field of 12 with 2 also eligibles in this race. I believe the number 13 Gasoline will get in this race if he's ready to go. The number 1 Film Star for Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz. I'm going to put this on screen for this one. The number 1 Film Star was cross-entered into a race back at Aqueduct on Saturday as well, and Linda Rice is taking him back to Aqueduct. So
that was my top pick.
It was his top pick, and I was gonna tell him because he got in 30 seconds right before.
Oh, and I love that horse at that value.
Here.
No,
it's
my God,
looking to be a good one. But Film Star unfortunately is out of this race, and as I switch back to the Equibase now, the morning line favorite at a pretty cool 9-2 is the number 10 Trademark for Martin Garcia and Victoria Oliver. Second choice is the number 9 O'Connor for Gaffleone and Safi Joseph. And then the third choice was shared between Il Miracolo and Filmstar, who, of course, is out of this race now. So, Charlie, please let me know who you want to change it to, and I will gladly change it. But you'll see our picks are on the screen right there.
I'll be bold. I'll start it off. I'll let everybody be surprised here. They don't even know who I'm picking because I just made it up in my head in the last 5 seconds. I'm gonna go with the number 7 on top.
Okay. So 7, 11, and then who else do you want?
Oh boy, I didn't think that part there. Let's throw the 12 down there. I like Cox with Flav and Pratt together. We'll put them together.
All right, so you have number 7, Il Miracolo, who is also entered into the Breeders' Cup, is another one that we need to keep our eye on. But again, I think definitely this one for Il Miracolo, this field definitely stands a really nice chance to get something done with Luis Saez aboard.
Yeah, and I'm seeing in the chat that's exact my thought too. That's why I'm ended up putting this horse on top and had the horse originally in 30. Shout out to Antonio Sano, very underrated trainer. I think kind of goes under the radar. He does unreal at Gulfstream. He's really kind of the one that goes at it with the Fletchers of the world. Certainly a Florida guy. So for me, that speaks volumes to bring this horse here. And yeah, picking up Luis Saez kind of back out of nowhere. And you look, kind of like the angle Noah touched on earlier with Mustache. This horse runs its best efforts with Luis Saez, and I think it's because we've kind of touched on this now 3 or 4 times. Luis Saez is the most aggressive jockey, and I don't mean like banging into people like Irad. That's a whole nother story. I mean aggressive is like if you need a jockey to
we're Bettin N Boozin. You're taking a shot for every time we've said that. You're doing pretty good right now. But anyway,
but yeah, if you're trying to just get that aggressive, strong trip with a jockey who has zero hesitation, not overthinking it like Joel is just going to go. That's Luis Saez for you. So I don't think you can get a better jockey for this horse. Has certainly run. I mean, you look at the gauntlet. You've talked about this earlier, like ran against Arcangelo, Forte, the greatest horse of all time, and Mage, Rocket Can. So, I mean, you want to talk about a horse that's been run. I mean, I guess other than not running against me and Mr. C, this horse has gone through the gauntlet, blazing 7s. So, certainly has faced a bunch of tough horses. Not that this is an easy field. We touched on how wide open it is, but certainly an easier field. I think this horse is very versatile, can kind of go anywhere. And, for 6-1, I know a lot of horses have value here, but I already was thinking about maybe putting the 7 over the 1, but I think the 7 is Elmar Osalio. I can't pronounce the name. Is very difficult to beat in this spot.
Need a me and Mr. C Bettin N Boozin shirt. I think is what we need at this point.
Hey, the fans would buy it. The fans would buy it. I know Noah would get one with me.
But no, you have you have him in 2nd. I have him in 3rd. I think this spot really suits him, especially for the trip. I think he's going to get. Yeah,
Charlie touched on a lot of it. Just a horse that has been facing some of the best of the best, than you can at 3 years old. And then I kind of go back to the Smarty Jones. I watched that race. He was unbelievable. Nobody was touching him in that race. He just ran. Of course, is the prep for the Pennsylvania Derby, where I mean he ran behind Saudi Crown, who's going to be a decent price in the Classics. So I mean, there's no shame in that either. Yeah, anytime you're within 5-6 lengths of a serious Breeders' Cup horse, you've got something. But on top I went with the 10. I'm really not proud of it. It's just kind of a default. Some of the other horses that were lower priced, like Charlie's 1, and Kyle's 8. I just had some question marks, so I kind of just defaulted to the 10. In this race, it seems like there's quite a bit of speed, and Trademark is a horse that I feel like is, a lot better with a target. I go back to that Lucas Classic at Churchill, and was sitting right off the pace, and just got absolutely nailed by Clapton, who's another Breeders' Cup horse, and then finished just in front of Blue Devil, who actually won a couple races at Saratoga during the summer meet. So, a good horse in his own right. But again, just a horse that I didn't really, have a strong opinion. Just wanted to go with a horse, that was consistent, and that can maybe get the job done. Well, I think Trademark is, and shout out my dad, because you talk about Clapton nailing Trademark on the wire. He called me immediately after that race, because apparently he's betting pick 3s by himself on a Saturday, and he called me. He's like, I needed Clapton. Hell yeah. And he's like, anything like that. So shout out to my dad. And also, again, this was a horse I actually picked live at Indiana that day in the Schaefer Memorial Stakes.
where he beat 5-star General in Mask Parade that day. And I mean, he's extremely impressive, makes his own trips, very tactical horse. And from the 10 hole, I think you need to be, especially at Keeneland on this run up. So I think Trademark is definitely one to be considered and looks to be only getting better at the end of his 4-year-old season. So Trademark's definitely one to keep in mind as I have him in second. I'm going with the most seasoned one of the group, I think, and the number 8 Law Professor, guys. And I actually really like this horse in this spot. I think he's another one who's very tactical, and he had that Pimlico special where he ran behind Rattle and Roll, went a little bit longer. I think it might have just been a little too long for him and against very nice horses. Speed Bias was in that race, but I think Speed Bias has kind of been on the down slope since then. I just think Law Professor has been very consistent his whole career. Ran a really nice race in the Woodward behind Zandon and Filmstar. Filmstar, of course, not in this race anymore. And Zandon finally winning a race in the Woodward, now going to the Breeders' Cup Classic, of course. So I just think Law Professor really sets up for a really good run in this spot. Atras brings him back over here. Florent Giroux is aboard for the first time, actually, which I don't mind. I mean, when you get to this kind of level, guys, I don't pay too much attention to jockey gymnastics. And, of course, Manny Franco is going to be in New York most likely. So he's not going to be at Keeneland for this one race. But Law Professor is a horse I'm very keen on and could really sit a nice trip in a spot like this behind Speed. I just think it's when you're shipping a horse like Law Professor around, I think this is a little bit of a softer spot than he's been in previous races and definitely could get the job done again finally, like those listed stakes he ran in at Aqueduct. So Law Professor at 8-1, which is a very nice price, is one I'm definitely going to be keying in on Saturday. So
hey, Kyle, is there a way that you can bring up Atras' stats when he ships to Kentucky? Because I personally am a little bit interested in that.
Yeah, let's take a look. So
just so we can see.
So I'll go shippers, domestic shippers, and then we'll go track, and then we'll use today's circuit of Kentucky. So let's see. So he's actually only 1 for 10, and the one win he has, that's the one win. It's actually a little bit longer ago. So he hasn't won in the past 3 years, which is actually a very good point that you bring up, Noah. But he brought in Law Professor to Keeneland. Of course, that was for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Miles. So shipping Law Professor back to Keeneland in a race that's not so stout as the Breeders' Cup would be one where I'm taking a look at. But no, that's definitely something I didn't take a look at, Noah. Thank you for bringing that up to basically shut me down. I agree. I appreciate that. But
the term is poo-poo.
Yeah, you poo-poo me. Absolutely. As the boss would say. But Happy American is one that you have. And then Charlie, I'll let you touch on your 2 real quick and move on. But real quick, anything against the deep closing Happy American?
Yeah, deep closing is right. Just a horse that's going to be, coming from the clouds with a race that I see a decent amount of speed. So I'm going to take a shot. In the Lucas Classic, the horse was 21 lengths back. I mean, what kind of chance do you have when you're, that far back? You're basically running on a different track at that point. It's close to get within 8 3/4, which is really not that bad.
That's 12 lengths if you keep a track at home.
That's pretty good math for our math teachers out there.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, but just a horse that's going to need some pace, and maybe he'll get it.
Sorry, cough attack. But I mean, yeah, he needs the pace, of course, and he can't be that far back this time of course. But Happy American is definitely one, and Tony Rollo, managing partner of Crownsway Racing, knows Happy American very well, and he really likes this horse. If he runs that 99 again, he ran in the Stephen Foster, only 2 lengths behind West Willpower and Rattle and Roll. That could definitely be good enough to win a race like this, although I'm not sure there's enough speed in a race like this for him. But Charlie, you have the number 11 and the number 12 in second and third, respectively. The number 11 Dash Attack for McPeak and Velasquez, and number 12 Best Actor, both looking to go out from the lead from outside posts.
Yeah, so I mean, look, with Happy American, as much as I love closers, I feel like unless Happy American can show he doesn't want to start in race 10 and wants to start in race 9, going to need a little more. But again, I'm never going to talk someone off a deep closer or a long shot. Yeah, but I have a few other long shots I want to touch on real quick, and then I'll talk about my two. Horse has hurt me before, but speed bias, I just think kind of complete opposite of Happy American. I just feel like the horse is going to send 1,000,000 miles an hour and could get lucky to sneak into top 3 at 20-1. If the horse can run back to one of those efforts, that's a long shot I'd watch out for. And then the horse that would enter in Gasoline, that's the other long shot I would watch out for, was the one who actually was able to get by speed bias earlier. So, and whenever you get a pleasure horse, certainly one to watch out for. So that's the two long shots. But then, so for 11 and 12, with Dash Attack, picks up Johnny V, which I always like, has run absolute bullet workouts. I mean, 48-2, a minute flat, 46-4, which is just like unheard of. I don't know the last time I've seen a horse with a 46 and a 4 furlong and then a minute flat. So this horse certainly wants to show. He certainly wants to show pace. Yeah, I like the fact that despite how much pace this horse wants to show, was able to go at Churchill Downs, go a mile and a 16th, and win and go winning away. Certainly, I think a horse ran against O'Connor, who's in this field, which I'm a little surprised that none of us had given the odds. I don't know how Boss Man would feel about that.
That's the formidable Howard and I's give out at in the what was that, the Pegasus World Cup invite, and he lost by 20 3/4. He ran absolutely.
Hey, it's all right. He just never got going. He never got going.
He might still be running to this.
He was still getting going. But so that was my angle with Dash Tech. I mean, ran a really nice effort last time out. A 101 certainly in any effort like that could fit, and I love the value at 8-1. So to play in a race that I would spread in. And then same with Best Actor, again, another horse that wants to be towards the front and, showed the ability. Again, I'm normally against speed, but if you're able to get on the front and run away, you got to pay attention to it. Ran that career best effort with Flavian and gets Flavian again with Brad Cox. Again, it's just another one of those where, look, if you're getting those kind of connections, I don't think you'll get those odds, but certainly another horse worth those kind of odds in a wide open field. I would certainly think those are two horses to the outside where if they can work out the right trip are worth the value.
Yeah, and the only thing, because I am a big fan of Best Actor, and I had him last time, just if you can believe that I had a favorite last time. I don't like the post. I don't like the post for either of these horses. Agreed. And the fact that there's a lot of speed to their inside as well, I just don't know if they're going to be caught out 4 or 5 wide, or they're going to be forced to take back in a place that neither of these horses really want to be in, just from a tactical standpoint. So I didn't choose either of them. That last run for Dash Attack in the Churchill Downs race was very good. Beat a lot of other horses in this race as well. It's just, I just don't know about those posts for either of those horses. But if they can get into a very nice position from those outside draws, they could definitely be formidable. But we're going to move on, guys, as we're getting near in that hour mark. I'm going 8, 10, 7. Charlie's going 7, 11, 12. Noah's going 10, 7, 2. Guys, switching over to the last race on the card here as I switch over to the Equibase. This is a main special weight, 100,000, going a mile and 16th on the turf for 2-year-olds. And this draws for the last race of the fall meet. Of course, why wouldn't it be a full field of 12 with 4 AEs, including 1 MTO? Morning line favorite is number 8, Active Mutiny for Pratt and Shug McGahee. Second choice is number 11, Vivaldi for Gaffleon and Brown. And third choice is number 5, Deadpan for Florent Giroux and Mark Cassie. Going to switch over our banners now for the last race as I put us back on screen. And you'll see 2 of us are going with the number 8, Active Mutiny. But Noah doesn't have the number 8 anywhere and is going with the Chad Brown on the outside, who Charlie and I both have underneath, Vivaldi for Gaffleon and Brown.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chad Brown, but I think you typed in I've got 11, 8, 12 in this race.
Did I fuck that up? Yeah, I did fuck that up. Unlucky.
Originally I was in between the 8 and 11 for on the win end. But the thing that kind of tipped me with the 11 was the fact that, debuting at Kentucky Downs, with the second start and Chad Brown and Tyler Gaffleon, the horse should improve. And it looked like that race was pretty decent. The second and third place finishers came back to win. And then the thing that kind of tipped me over the edge was you see the 8 was favored last time, but the 8 was running on the inside, which was a good part of the track. versus the 11, who was, the widest in the stretch, trying to close into that field. So that was, the 8's obviously a good horse. I kind of think it's 8-11 here. The 8, going 6.5 at Kentucky Downs and was favored in that race. Palm Tree and Committee of One. I believe they ran in was it the Indian Summer? Or
You would be right.
yeah.
Committee of One
won the Indian Summer. Yeah.
He did. In front of a horse that we all know and love.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'll let you guys talk about the 8. But I thought it was either the 8 or the 11.
I mean, trust me, the 11's a very nice horse and had a good run last time. As you said, was basically in the parking lot on the last turn, made up some good ground. But this is another one. I don't like the post on the outside, although it is outside for 2-year-olds, which I do like. Just the next buyer figures, guys. 2 of them came back, but 2 of them have come back. 3 of the horses have come back to win, but the top horse actually ran in the Bourbon and held the lead for most of the race and just lost by 2 3/4 to the absolute bomb that was Can Group in that race. Definitely could be one to look out for. And obviously I have the horse in third. Just the post is going to be the concern for me. And maybe this horse could want even a little bit longer as Kentucky Downs, that mile plays more to a mile and an eighth. And it still came running very late in that race, but definitely one to keep an eye out for. Obviously Brown is always dangerous and that horse has always been training in Kentucky. So never went out to New York for a shad, always stayed in Kentucky, which is something I like. But Charlie, you have the number 8 Active Mutiny, and I'll show why I like this horse mostly. But what did you like most about Active Mutiny?
Yeah, so for starters, I kind of agree with Noah. I got down to the 8 and the 11, and it was pretty simple for me, which you kind of already explained for me, Kyle. Basically, the concern was, can the 11 obviously has to have a better trip, can't be in the parking lot. There is no race 11 for the horse to wait for. The gate worried me a little bit. Again, as you touched on with Kentucky Downs already playing longer, the horse might just need to go further. But I have to take Active Mutiny. As soon as I saw the horse, I was like, why do I recognize this name? And then I remembered when this horse ran on debut on Saratoga, I was covering the power picks, and I wanted to go with a value pick because everybody was all over Risk It and Hunt Ball. So was working very forwardly, looked like a horse that was ready to make a big impact, and didn't run absolutely awful, but didn't run terrible. But I just feel like for me with Active Mutiny, look, the competition, it's just not even close. Risk It and Hunt Ball are 2 terrific horses that I think are going to have great careers that Active Mutiny ran against. And then as we touched on, Palm Tree, very solid horse, and Committee of One just ran a very nice effort last time out. So has just been running against, as you kind of showed with the 11, in comparison, has been running against much stronger horses that are showing forward efforts. And I feel like love picking up Flavian Pratt, and I feel like I don't want to say it's a must-win way too early in the horse's career, but I feel like when you look at the other horses, when you look at the competition this horse has faced, and also the fact that the horse just did not get going at all last time out, and I think with a better start, can sit a nice stalking trip and blow right by this field. I just feel like this race is begging Active Mutiny to just go show that. I mean, I don't know if the horse will be 3-1, probably shouldn't be, but I think this horse should prove that Active Mutiny should be closer to 1-1, 4-5, and should dominate this race.
That's tough.
I'll be
for
bold.
Sure. You are the king of that. That's for sure. But I think 3-1, 5-2 is a fair price for Active Mutiny. Just being off of, Kentucky Downs race with a massive pace where he came running from way behind. But Seagull, this dam, guys, was a very nice horse in her own right. But you could see this. You could see the dirt routes. She's 40%. 50% on wet dirt. Only had 4 races on turf, but was a turf horse in her own right. So the breeding is there. Catalina Cruiser, if that reminds you of anyone, Noah, West Coast guy, was a very good horse for John Sadler on the West Coast, winning the San Diego, the True North, the Pat O'Brien twice, and the San Diego twice as well. Royal Flag, who's a great horse for Chad Brown, was third in the Personal Ensign, won the Shoe V, second in the Double Dog Dare. Pretty recent good horse, and was 5th in the distaff behind the Japanese wonder Marsh Lorraine at 1,000-1 that day. And then Eagle as well, who's another great horse for Neil Howard, who won the Ben Ali at Keeneland. So there's just a lot of different breeding here to go on. And of course the turf breeding is there, although her best progeny have run on dirt, but that last race, that 68, really instills confidence in me. And of course, Shug knows this horse best, puts this horse back on turf after the Kentucky Downs race, picks up Pratt, who arguably is the best turf rider in the country right now. I'm very interested in playing Active Mutiny on Saturday. And we'll just go really quick here, guys, as we go through. I have the number 6, Domingo, in second, 12-1 morning line for Brendan Walsh, and Thundering Amelia, another very nice turf horse for Mike Matz, early in 2012, 2011 area. Turf route, she is only 2 for 17, but has a 91 buyer. Helium is one to point out, was second in the Schaefer Memorial at Indiana, but Mighty Scarlet is the horse I'm looking towards. Very nice turf horse, was never really could get the job done, only 2 for 14, but was 5th in the Belmont Oaks, 3rd in the Wonder again, and just was always running her good mid 80s, low 90s buyer in these turf routes, who was a very nice turf router for Chad Brown. So there's just a lot of good things I'm pointing towards Domingo. Working forwardly at Turfway Park, and Brendan Walsh is not always the best first time out, but he gets these runners ready to go for Keeneland, has been hot always as of late. Picks up Declan Cannon, who they are 24% in the last year alone together. So Domingo could be one to take a big step out first time out. Of course, watch the board as we all have these positions with these first-time starters. You guys both have the number 12, Mo Caliente, in third, who I think would be the obvious choice also to put underneath in a race like this. Noah, I'll let you touch on first, and then Charlie, I'll let you bring up the rear. You can just go right at one right after another. But Noah, Mo Caliente, who you have in third.
Yeah, not really much needed to say here. Started on the turf, going 5.5, lost to Committee of One and Double Your Money, who we've seen in other form lines. So you can, when that happens, you can kind of compare. And then next time stretched out at Churchill, lost to a horse in Gorilla Tech, who came back and didn't he didn't run super well in the Bourbon. But you always have to respect horses that go there.
That's why he had a lot of trouble as well. In that race.
And I think whoever was doing our power picks really liked him that day. So it was kind of a shame for us and the viewers. I'll
talking too much shit, guys. Talking too much shit on the power picks. Hey.
I'll
not to mention we have a positive ROI, but that's fine.
Seriously. I'll try and redeem myself here in saying that hopefully this time this horse is Mo Caliente.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Charlie, bring up the rear, man, before we talk about best bets. Anything more you want to touch on before we move on?
No, all I was honestly going to say about Mo Caliente was I just like the horse on the stretch out once again. I think that's just what Mo Caliente needs. I think obviously running 5.5 was just way too short. So I think the horse will certainly be dangerous. I was going to mention Domingo, but you already did. I like the works in Brendan Walsh. The only other horse I was going to touch on was the 5. I think that's the only other realistic contender in this race. For Florent Giroux from Mark Casse, ran a very solid effort on debut, got to the lead, reasonable pace, is working forwardly, and then just wasn't able to hold on. But certainly I think the only thing really interesting about Deadpan is the fact that most of the contenders we kind of touched on, the 11, 12, and 8 all want to sit back. I feel like this is the only real contender that wants to go. So if you are looking for a little more value in a horse to, maybe play underneath or could be dangerous to even win, I think Deadpan's interesting, certainly from the aspect that most of the contenders are going to want to sit back. So I think that's the only other horse to certainly watch out for.
I mean, absolutely. And of course, Mark Casse is always dangerous second time out. I'm going 8, 6, 11. Charlie's going 8, 11, 12. Noah's going 11, 8. 12. Guys, going to move on to our best bets here. Thank you guys so much for joining in. We've had some really good viewership tonight. Thank you guys so much. And obviously, I know this isn't our normal date or time, so I appreciate everybody joining in to watch our show. And of course, the man himself, Richard Avalar, is now here. Thank you guys so much. He's saying the Saints are on a free fall, is what he wanted to point out real quick to Charlie, the man himself. But and did Noah's getting love? Noah's getting love from admirers in the chat. This is a hell of a night now. Now we're going for
Whoa,
you're Mo Caliente. yeah, blush a little bit for the man. Thanks, Page Production. I don't think I've seen your name in here before, so thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Just here for Noah.
Join the show. I would be here for Noah too. I wouldn't be here for me. That's for damn sure.
Pause.
Resume.
Matt Miller, the man himself, is here. We'll be on the show Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for the BCBC show. Thanks so much, Matt, for joining the show, man. Greatly appreciate it. But we're going to move on to our best bets here. Charlie, you're going to go first. 2 exact is what you're rocking with today. Race number 6, 3 over 1-4, and then race number 8, an exacta 9 over 1-4. Charlie, go ahead, talk about your best bets.
Yeah, so honestly, my angle with both of them was to kind of just put the horse that I feel strongly about winning over one horse that we all kind of touched on as a real contender, and then one horse that's more of a price. So obviously, as you've kind of explained before, trying to balance with how much you wager, obviously put maybe a little bit more on the 3 over the 1 and the 9 over the 1 in those respective races with the heavier favorites, and a little less, but still to get a bunch of value on the long shots. I mean, look, I touched on, and so did you, about how the Ward just shot out of a cannon on debut despite the rail. Was much the best in that race, and second time out for Ward should certainly be dangerous. And then we talked about the 1 already, certainly being another solid contender with Normandy Hero, and I just think could set a nice pace off the rail, but obviously needs the rail to open up. And then I already touched on how I think Glengarry's the wild card, but could be dangerous, and love the 6-1 value. And then we already also touched on, I mean, again, I think more than looks, if the horse stays in this race, is one of the best horses in the world. I know it should really be between 9 and 1, but I just think the 9's better than everyone else. The 1's tier 2 and the 4's tier 3. So playing under Talk of the Nation, who's an unreal horse, just unfortunately might run into more than looks. And then Smoky Mandate, who, again, I think just like in the other races, the wild card, who with another step forward could certainly shock and make an impact and at least finish second by more than looks.
Hey, man, nothing I disagree with there. Good luck with your best bets on Saturday. Noah, did you send me anything?
No, due to my issues,
it's freestyle.
Yeah. I'll so my first one, I'll go with race 6. I think is the first leg. Whoa.
What the heck is this?
It's called We Have Nothing to Talk About. Have a nice evening.
That's coming to you live from the classroom, ladies and gentlemen. The boss himself.
Yes.
What's going on, man?
You want a tour?
Giving a tour. Talking about best bets right now, my friend.
It's learning lab. We got 3 different screens.
Oh, you could use that to put on 3 races. There you go.
Down.
There you go. Exactly. That's how we roll. They're in. Well, right now it's set up for a test, but usually they're in pods like this.
Yeah,
like groups of 4. These are newer.
I know. So what's the freestyle? Can't let them stall anymore.
Nice.
Matt Miller's chiming in. He says, "I've told you repeatedly to get a separate password for this show, so no one interrupts you while we're."
Wait, what happened?
Matt Miller said, Kyle, I've told you repeatedly to get a separate password for this show so that we don't have random people showing up in our conversation when we're talking about best bets. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
We're still live here, Howard, by the way.
We are?
Yes.
I was so confused about what was happening.
I didn't realize. Hi, everyone. All right. This is very awkward. I'm going to leave. I'll wait till you guys end the show.
Thanks for the tour.
I do not know.
You're fine, Howard. It's the boss himself. He wanted to make it.
I didn't say anything inappropriate.
That would have been funny, to be honest.
It's actually hilarious. I don't know why I didn't realize that we weren't live. But hi, everyone. What happened with Charts today, man?
It's with Copper Missile. But yes, I agree.
Yeah,
there's
a little Beshizzle hatred out there. I don't understand why, to be honest.
I don't agree. I don't think it's Beshizzle by any means. I think he rides really good races. It's just a matter of he just wasn't there today, and we'll see if they give him a break or they bring him back or whatever. But should be interesting going forward.
Richard, we don't know yet is the answer to the question.
Yeah, we don't know if Shards is in or not, but we will know obviously in the next coming days to know. But
did I miss the Charlie hot takes on how bad the Suns are going to be this year or no?
No, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Oh, you haven't. Am I interrupted? I'm leaving everyone.
No.
Well, how much longer are you guys going, to be honest?
5 minutes maximum.
All right, I'll join you in 5 minutes.
All right. Okay. Sounds good, Howard.
Bye, everyone.
And he put him outside on screen. Oh, it's so over. Oh,
we're too many episodes in. That's like a 5 strike for the Boston.
Hey, that was
Kyle's normal 3. Yeah, Kyle had no strikes today, so we had to have a 5 striker from the Boston.
Yeah, for the Boston.
We should have known when you had no issues, and this is the longest it's ever been with 0 Kyle issues. Something had to go wrong.
Dude, I know. I was actually going strong, and whatever.
It was unbelievable.
Anyway, I was
waiting to not jinx it. All right, go on.
Noah, race number 6 was your first best bet of the day. What did you want to go for here?
After that interruption, I'll go race 6. I'll go double 2-2. So race 6, race 7.
Ice cold. All right, we love that. And then what did you got another
and
one
then I don't really want to touch More Than Looks just because we don't know if he's going to be in the race. So I'll go a win bet on the 11 and the last.
Okay, sounds good. Race
So
10.
with the double and the 6th race, just a horse that I like. Like I said earlier, a race that doesn't really have a lot of horses that want to pass each other. So I just have a feeling, the two kind of did all the dirty work last time. And if the horse can get on the front end, maybe you can just kind of take them. And then double that with the 7th race into Traegar, who's the Cali Connections. Of course, I'm going to, make that one of my best bets. Just a horse that's improving. Practice on, and the horses, had to work over the track, which I really like, and which Kyle mentioned that he liked too. So I'll do that 2-2 double. And then going to the last race, which is the mile and a 16th, I believe, on the turf. I was in between either the 8 or the 11, and I'll go with the 11 just off of the couple things I touched on. The fact that, you get Tyler Gaffalione, who's been hotter than a firecracker lately. I think he won at least 2 or 3 today.
Yep.
And Chad Brown, a horse that's going to naturally progress. Second off, that debut effort, and also was, on the worst part of the track there, Kentucky Downs. So,
well, hey, good luck with your best bets, man. I completely agree with everything. I'm basically agreeing with you in the regard that I'm going to go take a win on the West Coast Invader, the number 2, Traegar off the layoff. Valley at 5-2. I think you might get every bit of that 3-1 morning line as well, as people will see that layoff. Although we talk about this all the time. Horses progressing from 3-year-olds to 4-year-olds to 5 even. But the 3 to 4-year-old jump, first time out for Mark Glatt, ships to Keeneland now, has a work over the track. I really like Traegar in that spot off the layoff. And race number 8, I'm going to take the double. If More Than Looks runs, I think he's immediately the horse to beat and he's the best winner possible on the entire card. So I'm going to single him in the double with the number 8 Law Professor, who I actually liked on top in that race, and the number 10 Trademark, who is the very soft morning line favorite at 9-2, who just ran very well in the Lucas Classic. But guys, after the interruption, we were on track for that 70 minutes, but we just went a little bit over. But guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in today for the entire show. We had great viewership the whole time, so thank you guys so much. Greatly appreciate it. And Richard Avalar pointed out, Carl Spackler, the man himself, thanked More Than Looks, but More Than Looks has come back to run very, very well, Richard, and he's definitely one to keep in mind, maybe even going into the Breeders' Cup. And I know one man that popped in here for a few seconds thinks that highly of More Than Looks as well. But guys, like I said, that's going to wrap up episode number 45 of Bettin N Boozin, covering Keeneland's closing day and the Late Pick5 at Keeneland. For my co-hosts, Charlie Freeman and Noah Maher, this has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode 45 of Bettin N Boozin. Everybody, crush your bets this Saturday and take care. Have a great night.